All right, we are at one after the hour, so I am going to get started. First of all, I just want to thank you all for taking time out of your day to attend this webinar and to learn for your business. A vast majority of the things I'm going to talk about today are free tools and things you can utilize and leverage to enhance your current listings. And then we are going to go over a few paid products as well and some changes in those paid features that give you a little bit more control and customization. So real quick, little housekeeping here. Chanel, don't worry, no one else can hear you. There's no way you'll be able to show yourself or talk on this webinar. You'll need to use the chat function to communicate with me. And it sounds like everything else is good. We've got a lot of confirmation that others can hear. So if you're having issues, go to the sound option and you can change it to phone, and you'll be able to hear me over the phone while you watch slides on your screen. All right. So, who am I? I'm Emily Washcovick. I've been with Yelp since 2014. I currently am at home all the time, presenting and creating content for business owners through our blog, as well as social media and other partnerships with brands and companies. But normally, in a pre COVID world, I would be traveling around the country, speaking at trade shows, conferences, conventions, and hosting events for business owners as well to network with each other and learn about digital reputation and online listings. So, right now, what we're trying to do is continue to keep up with the ever changing situation that we have with the pandemic. And I just want to take a moment and acknowledge that I know everyone on this call has had challenges this year, professionally and personally, I'm sure. And I think a lot of us have started to see some positive things out of this year, but I think a vast majority is still trying to figure out what way is up and what way is down. And we are certainly with you in that experience. We're all going through that as well. And we're continuing to try to create resources and tools to communicate the most important things right now that you need to get across to your customers and that consumers are looking for and searching for. So we'll be speaking to that a lot today. Here's a little overview of what we're going to cover. I'm going to give you a brief look at consumer behavior and just kind of set the stage for why your online presence is important. And a lot of the information I'm going to share about getting your general Yelp page completed is applicable to other websites and your online SEO strategy in general. So I'll talk about that a bit. Then we'll really quickly talk about those COVID features that have come out. And then the big chunk there is going to be new features and tools, kind of taking you through a bunch of free features that have rolled out in the past few months, as well as a few paid products and changes to our ad platform. So again, this is an overview and two important things. You're going to get a recording of this emailed to you. You're also going to get a copy of the slides. So don't feel like you need to vigorously jot things down. You'll have all of that in your inbox tomorrow. Just try to sit here and think of how these things apply to you, or maybe think about what updates you're going to make if you've already been active in your account. So let's start with consumer behavior and just kind of set the stage for what we're talking about today. Really important concept that we want to get ourselves into is the fact that reviews in general influence so many decisions of ours these days as a consumer, and not just on Yelp. I always tell the story of when I ran the Chicago Marathon a few years ago. I went on Amazon to buy socks, good long distance running socks. I knew what brand I thought I wanted, but I ended up spending about 2 hours of my life reading reviews for other sock options before deciding. 2 hours I'll never get back. But now that we have access to this information through the internet in so many different forms, whether it's food recipes, movie reviews, etc., we trust this information as consumers and we look to online reviews. Two ways that that's commonly happening: one, a consumer knows that they need something and they're going to go look for someone who provides that in the area. Or two, maybe they heard about you, they saw another ad of yours, or they were referred to you from a friend, a family member. They might then go on the internet and see if what they've heard about you matches up, if that aligns. And so reviews and online listings are a huge part of that overall online presence. The other elements being your website, your social media. So to that point, There are different intentions on different platforms. So when you're thinking about the most important places that you want to have your business information, think about your end user and where they're most frequently spending time. So I would argue that Yelp listings are one of the most important places to get that information updated because it's going to help pull that information onto Apple Maps, Yahoo, Bing, a lot of other places where people are getting consumer information. And if you Google, for example, your business or your industry in your area, you're going to notice that Yelp is one of the first natural search results that appears. So having your free listing not only on there, but completed is going to help you have better SEO value online in general. So let's talk briefly about those free tools. I know many of you on the line have claimed your page and are active and engaged in some way with it already, but I'd love to go through these free tools and make sure you all know about profile completeness because every single little detail that you have the opportunity to fill out can impact where you're appearing in search and how much visibility you're getting. So it's all going to start with claiming your page. I think most of you on this call are probably claimed, but maybe not. And maybe you're not even quite yet on Yelp. And if that's the case, you're going to start by going to business.yelp.com. Business.yelp.com. And that's going to give you the option to manage your free listing. And you'll begin by doing that search to see if the listing exists. If it doesn't, you'll be given an opportunity to enter in business information, the most important being an online place where our operations team can verify your business information. So if you're adding a new business to Yelp or adding a new location, really, really important to include a web address that we can verify your business information. It'll help that listing get active and visible in search much faster. All right. So once you've claimed your page, the first thing we want to do is update our general business information. And we're going to do that by logging in, whether it's on desktop or mobile, and navigating to the business information tab. When you get to the business information tab, you'll see your basic information right at the top. Business name, address, phone, these are important, right? Make sure that they're accurate. But then the most important step here is going to be categories. You can be in up to 3 categories on Yelp. So if you're offering multiple things and serving various customer needs at your establishment, you want to be in multiple categories. I'll give you a simple explanation that you can probably relate to your industry and see what I mean. Let's say you're an Italian restaurant, but you also have a bar with TVs in one area of that restaurant. You want to be listed under Italian, but also under sports bar because those are 2 very different diners, right? Someone who might come in for Italian maybe changes their mind and sits at the bar, but 2 people searching for something to do tonight or this weekend, one looking to watch a game, one looking to sit down and have a nice meal, can both end up at your place and have their expectations met. So another example would be maybe if you're a real estate agent, do you offer additional things like mortgage support? These are categories where you might be in multiple. And then hours are really, really, really important. And I think it's important to note here that the reason filling this out matters is because a lot of users are going to search for open now or open at a specific time. So even if you are pretty much 24 hours, let's say, if you're a service provider, then we want to indicate that, right? 24 hours is going to be an option that you can select as well as inputting that. But let's say you are just by appointment and you're flexible. You would meet a client in the evening. Put what your general preferred hours are, and then use that as a guide. If you're temporarily or permanently closed right now for any number of reasons, you can do that in your profile as well. And then as we approach the holidays, that special hours function is great. You can log in at any time and put hours for any future date. Literally, you could be setting up hours for Christmas of next year. And it's going to help because you can set it and forget it. When that week gets here, your Yelp page is going to display those special hours you've indicated. So I always say maybe set a quarterly reminder for yourself or a monthly reminder to see if you need to modify hours or add any upcoming changes to your hours. Okay, super important here. Further information. You have specialties, history, and meet the owner or manager sections with character counts in them, but they're made for you to write a few sentences. And in this section, any of the keywords or phrases you're using are going to help you appear in search results. So if you're in a niche business, this is a really important section for you. Your category is going to be an umbrella, and you're going to need to specify within that category what you do or what you're known for. This is also a great way to tell the story of your background a little bit because a lot of consumers are looking for that information to spend their dollars, and they want to spend local or they want to find a great place in their area that they can support. Photos and images are super important. And the main reason here, you guys, is because we're all on our mobile devices, right? We're more visual than we are reading information to get a feel for a business. So when you log in again, whether it's desktop or mobile, you're going to navigate to the Photos and Videos tab. And in that tab, you can upload unlimited photos. But I recommend a minimum of 10. This is giving you some examples for service providers, but the overarching theme here for images is going to be photos of people, yourself, your staff perform really well as showing us the services you provide and using those photo captions to write what you're showing. Those keywords and phrases in the captions help you appear in searches. The other thing that you might want to incorporate here is if you have a brick and mortar, a retail business, a restaurant, a dentist office, you want to maybe show that interior, give us an expectation of what we're going to see when we arrive. And let's say your business isn't standalone. Maybe you're in a strip mall or you're in a shopping area with a lot of other businesses. Give us some images of the outside and let us know how to navigate you and find you in that area. Yes, Michelle, the presentation will be emailed to everyone as well as a recording of it. So you don't need to jot anything down. You're going to get these slides and a recording of me presenting them tomorrow. And how do we know which categories are more important? Jessica, really, really good question. So in order to figure out what categories you should be in, there's a few tricks that I recommend. One, go to Yelp yourself and do a search for what you think a customer might look for in your area. If you're a roofer, maybe it's roof repair or um, roof leak, whatever you think it might be. The cool thing about Yelp is when you have a location indicated for your search, it's going to recommend search options based on what people are commonly searching for in the area. So that's a pretty cool way to see what people are looking for. And then when you do that search, you'll see a listing or a list, pardon me, of other business listings, and you can see the multiple categories therein. So I do that all the time. If I'm, for example, helping a let's say a moving company, I'll just do a search for movers in Chicago and I'll be able to see all the multiple categories beyond movers that common listings are in. So that's not cheating, it's just looking at categories really effectively. We also have a full category list on our blog, so I can include that in the email follow-up I send. I'll just link to that. All right, I'm going to keep going without reading all these questions too closely because I do want to get to the free tools and I'll come back to those. I also might answer your question while I'm talking. All right, very briefly, I want to talk about reviews. We're going to do a more in-depth webinar about reviews, probably with a panel of business owners involved in January or February. So keep your eyes out for that if you're interested. But today I wanted to go high level because it is an important part of when you're logging in and managing your account. The first thing I always want to point out when I'm talking about reviews is the fact that on Yelp, nearly 80% of our reviews are positive. We have more 5-star reviews than 1, 2, and 3-star reviews combined. And the reason that's important is because a lot of businesses avoid engaging their online reviews because they're afraid of the negativity, when in fact, people are more commonly using our platform to recommend places that they love. So keep that in mind when you think about engaging. And then this will be a resource for you when you're able able to click through the slides, but just a few do's and don'ts when it comes to responding to reviews. My best tips practice is always to use that public comment, not necessarily to respond directly to the reviewer, but to reflect your customer service practices in general. So thanking them for leaving a review, maybe addressing a thing or two that they mentioned in the review, and then taking that conversation offline. And you can do that in a few ways. One, you can let them know you sent a direct message, or two, you can just simply give them a way to get in touch with you, whether that's a general email for the store or a number that anyone who's working during standard hours is going to answer. Those are really great options for that public comment. And then if you're getting a higher volume of reviews, maybe your restaurant, home service, retail category, if you don't have time to answer those reviews with just a personalized sentence or two, I would recommend using direct message so you don't look canned on the front of your account, because those public responses are going to appear below the review on the front of your page. All right. It's important to mention that we have a business owners app. The reason I always mention this is because many of us aren't logging in on a computer every day, multiple times a week, whatever it may be. I know you're probably more so out and about. So the app is great not only to download and do things like upload photos, you probably have more photos saved on your phone, but also when you turn your notifications on there, it's just so much more a part of our nature, I think, to respond to those notifications that are on our phone than always being able to get into the reviews. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think another thing to keep in mind is responding to reviews in general is something that consumers love to see. So they love to see responses, and people who respond to their Yelp reviews not only have more content on their page typically, but they also have higher star rating. And the psychology behind that makes a lot of sense, right? If I'm a consumer and I find a business on Yelp, I'm looking at their page, I see that they respond to reviews, I'm probably far likely to leave my experience because I know they pay attention to that. Also, if I have a concern and I see that previously they've responded to reviews to resolve those, I'm probably more likely to reach out to the business directly because I know I'm going to get a response. Sometimes online forums, whether it's ours or other platforms, feel like a last result for the consumer as a way to get in touch. All right, let's talk about COVID. Again, I know this has been the center focus for a lot of you in terms of needing to constantly evolve and deal with whatever local regulations you have, whether that's allowing you to be open or not, whether that's caused you to change your business model. And I know a lot's been going on with that. So on our end of things, we've been trying to give every resource possible for that clear, concise, and consistent message. I call it the COVID message. And basically, it's that common mantra you've been giving of the most important information. Are you open? What are you offering? Is it the same, limited? Is it new things because your customers are going through new things on the end of your normal exchange? Are you taking precautions? So we'll talk specifically about safety measures. And then also, do you have virtual options? That's been a really huge thing. And I think a lot of people who offered virtual right in the beginning in March, when we were kind of only given that option, they've maybe returned to in person or have the brick and mortar back open, but they're maintaining that virtual option. And I think that's important because a lot of consumers are still going to be in that category where they're not comfortable in person yet. So by indicating you have virtual offerings, you're just opening yourself up and becoming more available to those consumers. All right, let's talk about this COVID banner. So, if you're familiar with Yelp and have seen banners for holidays, for example, we always have them when regular business operations might be different. And it's just like a little reminder to the customer. For example, maybe it's Martin Luther King Day or President's Day. Hey, just a reminder, this is a holiday. See if this business is operating normally. And right now we have that COVID banner. The unique thing about the COVID banner is it is modifiable for you as the business, and we want you to modify it. So the holiday banner is normally just like a reminder from us. This is a very prominent placement of your most important information. And we'll see a couple examples when we show some screenshots of business pages, but think again about that main information. Are you open? What are you offering? And how can I start that transaction? Am I going to your website? Am I able to do, in-person by appointment? Give me that key information. All right, here's the virtual service offerings that I was talking about. So when you log into your business account, business.yelp.com, and you're in the business information section right now, you'll have this whole COVID segment, and virtual service offerings is within there. Select anything that you might be offering. And again, even if it's just an option, but not your main source, if you're open to it, I say indicate it. If you have the infrastructure to do virtual, and you're willing to take those appointments or those options, indicate it. And then something that I also want to note here is users of Yelp have been searching for these things even before we had the service offerings buttons. So they would be looking for, virtual yoga or virtual consultation with a plumber, for example. And that's how these buttons became a thing. We wanted to elevate this information and bring the businesses that have logged in and marked these offerings to the top of those search results. So just keep that in mind. Simply logging in and updating your new COVID features and COVID communications will bring you on the top of the list above businesses who haven't logged in or updated any COVID information, for example. All right, so this is a Yelp page. Here's where the updated services are displayed. So right below that COVID banner, and you can see here a great example of a COVID banner. All right, health and safety measures. So these are really important for a few reasons. One, when you log in and check all of these things, you are again putting yourself in front of consumers who have narrowed down their search for these specifics. So we have a lot of people looking for businesses that are with masks required or staff wearing gloves. So log in, indicate what safety measures you're taking, and you're going to be relevant in those searches that align with what your business practices are right now. I think another key thing here is when you're going through these health and safety measures and filling them out on our site, think about other ways you can communicate this same message. So maybe jot down a few ideas as you're checking these boxes of ways you could visually show this on Instagram, for example. I've been seeing businesses with their staff have masks and gloves and doing posts not only saying we're still open, but also what safety precautions they're taking. And I think it's really key right now to understand that we're in a place where consumers care about this information. And so it doesn't need to be hidden or in the background. Even things like sanitization of surfaces between customers or in high traffic areas gives those consumers who are in person with you that comfortability. And you'll notice on the site, there are even reviews that have been mentioning those things and helping other consumers find those businesses more readily available. Here's where the health and safety measures are displayed on the page. So again, really prominent placement with this information because it's stuff we know the consumers are searching for. So by logging in and filling this out, you're going to be that more relevant and prominent search. I want to talk about brick and mortar protective barriers just really briefly here. One, if you're doing cool and unique things like taking existing furniture or setup that you had in your business, like this example on the Embarcadero in San Francisco, that greenery was used in a different way in a pre-COVID era. But now it's a really beautiful barrier between consumer spaces that are safe and separate. And on the right-hand side, we have people getting really creative and making homemade things that are providing this level of safety. So if you're doing anything like that, if you're taking these steps in your brick and mortar, upload those images to your Yelp page and caption them with those safety measures that you're taking. Put a post on Instagram to let people know you're still operating and what they can expect. Here's just one more example of that. This is a story highlight from a fitness studio before they were preparing to reopen after the shelter in place orders lifted. They were setting expectations for their existing members by letting them know what precautions they were taking. And then they were linking to online schedulers. So as you can see, limited number of bikes available in class, linking through to that online scheduler, and they were booking their classes out weeks in advance. One, because they had less bikes available, but two, because they were able to communicate what steps they were going to take and convince that core group that was feeling safe enough with these precautions to return to actually come to those classes. So keep that in mind as you're communicating your COVID measures across all your platforms. All right, let's get into the meat. The new features and tools that we've rolled out in 2020. I'm going to start with free features. They're going to be colored with red banner backgrounds. And then I'm going to transition to paid options. They're going to be in blue, and they're all going to say at the top of the slide if they are a paid feature. So definitely going for transparency here. We certainly want you guys to understand that our ad product has continued to evolve and change. And the most important thing is it's so customizable now that you have these options for these independent features. So I'm going to walk you through them and show you them. But remember, when you're in your business owner's account, you can click around and try things out and read about these features in that context as well. And I always tell people, if you're in there for the first time and you're clicking around, don't worry, you can't ruin anything beyond repair, and you also can't accidentally start an ad program. You would have to put in your business information, your payment information, etc. So you're not going to accidentally start any ad program until you get through all of those steps that we walk you through on the back end. Let's start with these free features. So services offered. This is a really, really, really important evolution that we've been making over this year, but it honestly began last year as well. Under many of our service-based categories, we now have full lists of services offered. And what you're going to do when you're logged in at business.yelp.com and you're in that business information section is you're going to be able to not only edit your categories, but under those service categories, you'll be able to look at a checklist, just like what you see in front of you, and check what items are services you provide. Now, this is going to help you appear for those services, and it is not going to put you in services you don't offer. For example, commercial services for this business. And then services offered appear on the front end of your Yelp page as well, right below your photos. So it's a really, really easy way to get that consumer vetted when they're looking at your page. Are you the service provider that meets the specific service they're looking for right now or not? Okay, very important and prominent information. So be sure to log in and add it. If you've been in a service category for a very long time and haven't logged in and edited that in a while, you would be able to now see that added feature. So even if you didn't know it was there, because it was updated when you log back in, it should have that drop down for you. Okay. Another thing we're really proud about this year is the new features for indicating your business as Black owned, Latinx owned, and last year we had launched women owned. So these attributes came out of consumers searching. Obviously, this year has had a lot of complications, not only with COVID, but also with civil unrest and unjust in our country. And so a lot of consumers were called to action to support businesses that aligned with their initiatives and their supporting mission. So one big push we saw was supporting businesses that we knew were Black owned, so spending dollars in that way intentionally. And so before we had that feature activated, consumers would be searching on their own and relying on review content, for example, or photos with captions that told us a business was Black owned. So now we have that feature as well as Latinx, and you can log in as a business and indicate that. There is no way for consumers to mark businesses as Black, Latinx, or women owned. That is only an opportunity that the businesses have. We want to keep and respect the fact that that is your decision, whether you want to identify that way or not. But we are very, very proud of this attribute and have been really, really excited to see all the businesses who have logged in and checked those boxes, as well as all the community support for these different groups. And it's been great to see the celebration that's continued, not only within Heritage Months, for example, but beyond and throughout this entire season of COVID that we've been living through. All right. In that same vein, we have partnered with Open to All to present a free toolkit for business owners. So, if you're not familiar, we partnered with Open to All a few years ago. You might remember there was a big story about a wedding cake bakery that was not making a wedding cake for a same sex couple, which kind of created a big media storm and had impacts on our site as well. And so, in that vein, we moved forward and partnered with Open to All initiative to help businesses be able to self indicate as well if they are open to all. And this is open to all in terms of ethnicity, religion, the LGBTQ community, all areas of open to all. So we're very proud to allow businesses to select that. And we know that many of our users not only search for open to all because they want to spend their dollars with businesses that align with their, certain things that they care about and want to champion, but also in many ways it's used by our consumers as a way to search for safety, whether that's with a provider that's going to accept them for ethnicity or background, as well as if they're maybe traveling to new places and they want to know where they'll be able to be welcome. So if you consider your business to be open to all, we would love for you to check that on your business, but also please take advantage of this toolkit, which just launched. And the beauty of this toolkit is it provides tons of resources for helping you and your teams learn about being more open, inclusive, and equitable in your business. And so we know that a lot of big corporations or companies, including ours, put together trainings and resources to help our employees, but that's not always realistic or even possible for many medium to small businesses. So our hope in this partnership is to give you guys access to those resources. There's some cool trainings in there from very, famous companies and executives that have backgrounds in diversity, equity, inclusion in their businesses. So definitely take advantage of that. All right. Request a quote and message the business. Really, really cool feature. It's been active and alive for a long time, but we're always working to evolve it. And the really awesome thing is when you have your messages turned on in your business owner's account, when you have your inbox activated, that button will automatically appear if you are in a category that allows message the business. So for some businesses like this Starbright Floral Design in New York, it'll be request information, but many have options to modify. So request a quote, schedule an appointment, some different options like that where you can modify that messaging button, and then it's all based on your responses through direct message on Yelp. The way to set that up is to go into your account. You're going to want to go to your inbox sections, and then under settings, you'll just need to enable your messaging. All right, let's talk about Yelp Connect quickly here. Yelp Connect is going to be the first paid product I talk about, and it's a really cool feature that's actually free or included for our advertisers. So I believe it's a la carte available, but it's incorporated when you're doing cost per click advertising, when you're setting an ad budget. So, what is Yelp Connect? It's basically like our version of Instagram posts, but different because they're getting pushed to your followers. So, it allows you to post updates of information that's important. It also displays on your Yelp page so people can see all of your different Connect posts. And it's sent directly to consumers nearby who are connected with you. So I get emails all the time with updates from different businesses who are using Connect that I have bookmarked. And I bookmark businesses here in my local area as well as places I'm going to be going to. So to get those updates is a great way to motivate me to relook at a business that I had showed interest in before. Connect also has some really cool metrics for you as the business owner. So, this product actually was launched originally as a tool for restaurants, and it was a way for them to push updates. Maybe they had new menu items or a happy hour special. And now it's available to all industries, which is really cool. And every week you get to see how many people your post reached in 7 days as well as 30 days. And then you get to see that heat map too of where people are viewing your Connect posts, which is really cool. All right. Logo is another paid product that we rolled out this year. It allows you to prominently display your business logo, not only there on your Yelp page next to your name and reviews, like you see, but also in search when you're being looked for and in ad placements as well. So, really just giving you that ability to provide visibility on your logo. And I know for many industries, that's an important feature. So, that is an a la carte as well as bundled option, depending on what you're looking around at. And again, the beauty of the paid products right now on Yelp is that they have evolved to this place where they are completely customizable and modifiable. So while you have bundle options, every single feature can be purchased a la carte. So keep that in mind as I'm showing you these different features. Sometimes a business wants to do photo highlights and business highlights, and they don't need any other advertising, for example, or paid features. So they're just paying that nominal amount every month for those products. So keep that in mind. Business highlights is really cool. They rolled out at the end of last year. We have over 30 of them, and we have some new COVID ones as well, but they allow you to put things front and center that matter to you. So you see, there's a non for profit one, veteran owned, fixed pricing, budget friendly, lots of different ways that you can identify yourself. And these highlights not only are displayed on your page, displayed when you appear in search, they help that transaction because of that visibility on your listing when you're being promoted in a search result as well. Verified license is a really cool feature. It's only available for certain industries across certain states, of course, based on verifications that are available in your area. But if you log in, you would see it under your services area, and it gives you that ability to display your license. So I know in my years working with service providers, movers is a big category for me that I think about this being great in. There's a differentiating factor between the company that has licenseship and the company that doesn't. And obviously, people are operating when they shouldn't be, and we do work to try to flag those pages. So that's a whole nother topic. But if you ever know a business that is operating and doing something like that in a service-based industry, can flag it. But for the verified license, it's really about promoting and putting in front of consumers that stamp that shows some trustworthiness in your industry. So if that's an important thing to you, it's a great way to get that front and center. Portfolios is a really cool feature. It just basically allows you to tell more of a story about your services. So again, really big feature for our service categories. You see here a lot of remodeling companies getting detailed, not only about what they do, whether they're specific to kitchens or baths, but then also giving descriptions of the jobs, as well as sometimes they're giving price points depending on what industry they're in. So great ways to communicate further about specific jobs that you think a user might be looking for. Roof repair, for example. This is huge in skincare, health, and medical to show some of those additional offerings you might have. And then huge in auto as well, of course, when you want to get specific about different things beyond just or auto repair. Maybe you're doing certain brands, certain models, certain elements of the auto repair process. So you can use portfolios to promote that and get that front and center. So let's see visually what all of these enhancements to your page look like. And that's what those few paid products we just looked at are. They're profile enhancements. They change the visibility and the visual aspect of your listing. The other element of paid products is going to be cost per click ads. So you can set a budget and that will promote your business above number one on competitor ads in relevant searches. But those tools we were just looking through affect how your page looks once someone clicks through to the page. So you'll see here we have verified license, portfolios, highlights. These are prominent. So again, huge in the service industry where maybe when you're getting that listing started, reviews aren't the biggest thing on your page. Maybe it's all about those jobs and all about communicating that information that the consumer really needs when they're looking for something specific like a bathroom remodel. All right. Nearby Jobs is a really cool product that rolled out this year as well. It's essentially like a virtual thumbtack board of jobs. So you get to see the jobs in your area. And when you use the paid product, you can select them and grab those connections. It's a really, really cool feature. Just one elevated step above when you were able to bid on quote requests, for example, you can actually see, this full job description that the user has put up. And actually, the cool thing about Nearby Jobs is even if you're not paying for the product, you can see the feed to make those decisions or at least get some insight into what those job postings look like. And then the last thing I want to point out here is the very cool and kudos to our engineering department who worked so hard on this new performance dashboard. Essentially, what we kept hearing in feedback from business owners was we want more ability to customize, personalize, and modify. And we want more ability to look at metrics and make changes based on those metrics. So, what you'll see in the new ad dashboard is the ability to really drill down and personalize the campaign for deeper details like are we driving phone calls? Are we driving website clicks? So, really impacting those things as well as keywords you're showing up for or eliminating yourself from. And then you can also see the ability here to not only look at what you're getting, whether that's call tracking, whether that's duration, quote requests, but then you can just click to turn on or off the campaign. You won't need to reset a campaign every single time if you're looking to stay within the same realm. So, a great example of that would be if you're a seasonal business, for example, and you need to increase visibility during certain months, you can come in, customize and modify your campaign for what you want that visibility on, let it run, stop it at any time, and then you could then restart without having to go through that setup process again. All right, before we open to Q&A, I'm going to wrap here with a big kudos and hats off to the content that's been produced this year as well. We have a new department focused heavily on getting helpful, reliable, and relatable content for business owners, whether that's about Yelp's free or paid tools, but more importantly, some really cool articles about other topics. So, adapting sales and marketing. We did a piece about how to become a more eco conscious business. We have an article about putting together an SEO strategy, writing a business plan. So, tons of concepts and articles that we think will be helpful to you. Certainly check that out or bookmark it if you're looking for a new reference. I think you'll really be thrilled with some of the information that's incorporated there. All right, I'm going to leave it on this summary page for 1 second while I scan over a few of these questions, and then we'll toss it to the last screen with my email while we run through these. All right, so let me see what's on this Q&A first. Juliet, question about recommended image size to upload. I believe when you're in your account, it'll show you, but it'll also give you a preview of what the image will look like if it's the wrong sizing. But honestly, any standard image from your phone is going to upload directly really easily. All right, we already went over that this is recorded. You guys will all get a link to the recording as well as the slides tomorrow. Lauren asks, do you need to respond to all reviews, whether 5-star or not? I personally think there's value in responding to reviews. It reflects your customer service practices, but also it does help with your visibility because what's going to happen is any of the keywords and phrases you use in your review response help you appear in search results. So it's really great if you want to re-emphasize something that they asked and if you want to actually get in front of certain searches for something that they told you was great. Question here from Stacy. My reviews for my account keep being hidden from genuine customers. What can I do? So Stacy is referring to the review recommendation software. If you guys aren't familiar, we have a review recommendation software on Yelp. It works to recommend the most reliable and trustworthy content. So it's looking at a variety of signals, everything from what we know about the reviewer, how many reviews they've written, the content of the review itself. So we're not a drive-by site. You can't do 5 stars. This place is great. We really look for content in reviews that is helpful and tells a little bit of information. But then we also look at things like, were these reviews solicited or asked for? And that's a really important distinction on our site because we take a pretty firm stance against it. We think it creates innate bias, but also it's just uncomfortable between the business owner and the consumer. I've had many times where I've worked with businesses who have done things like maybe had iPads that they give customers before they get their check, things like that. On Yelp, you do not want to do that. Our algorithm is going to work against those reviews. So, for example, I knew a guy who owned a bunch of car washes in Los Angeles. He used to have an iPad right by the area you would check out. So, you drop your car, you go in, you pay, and you can put a review in. Obviously, he wasn't trying to do anything wrong or harmful, but the algorithm was seeing all of those reviews coming from the same exact IP address. So there's no real difference there to the algorithm between him sitting in his office and writing himself 20 reviews and 20 customers coming through. So don't do that stuff for Yelp. You're just going to get really frustrated and those reviews are going to continue to be not recommended. Other sites might allow you to ask for reviews and they might even provide you resources to do that. So feel free to do that on other sites. But on Yelp, we always say it's best to let people know by sharing your reviews, whether that's on social, putting links to all of the platforms you belong to on your website. So let consumers review and give you feedback on the platform that they're using. I'm going to toss my email up here while I work through some of these other questions so you guys can jot them down if you need to connect with me directly. All right, we've got a question here from Renee. Can you share where to find the updated services offered feature? Renee, that's going to be under business information and it's going to give you, I believe, your whole COVID section that you can complete there. Open to all is going to be in that same section. You're going to have to scroll down a little bit. It's going to be under business attributes. All right, is there a way to link multiple branch locations under the master account? Yes, there is, John. So when you have a business user account, you can share access with people, release access from people, and like edit what they have ability to do. So in your account, go to account settings and you can share with whatever your main email address is. That'll give you one login where you can manage multiple pages and you can flag reviews as well. I see your other question. Is there a way to flag reviews because they're on the wrong location? Yep. One of the drop downs whenever you flag reviews is this is for another location. It's really helpful if you happen to know or can link to that. They can move it a lot more quickly. Otherwise, they'll look for as much information as they can to try to verify where that should be going. All right, perspective on third-party services to solicit reviews. So Will, that's a good question. On our platform, we actually send alerts and messages to businesses if they're using third-party platforms that we do not work with. And essentially, a lot of the reliable third-party platforms know our policy, and so they won't solicit Yelp reviews for you. But you do not want to work with a review reputation site that tells you they're going to be able to manipulate your Yelp reviews or garner you more Yelp reviews. That's against our terms of service. Okay, let's see. If you had $1 to spend on online marketing your brand, how would you break down the spend between Yelp, Google, and all the other social media? Good question, Robert. So I think the most important thing is one, Yelp is going to be a huge site for transactional searches. And what I mean by that is when consumers search on Yelp, they're very near the end of their funnel. So if you are, any type of service-based business, obviously restaurants are a huge category for us as well as retail. I do believe that Yelp needs to be a strong part of your strategy. I think Google plays a role as well. Obviously, on Yelp, you're getting pulled to basically every other platform that isn't Google, Apple Maps, Yahoo, Bing, etc. So keep that in mind in terms of they are both equally important to have completed and filled out. But Google Ads work different than Yelp. I mean, that's pushing people to your website. So that's a whole nother animal. On Yelp, you're putting yourself right in front of the user when they've told you exactly what they're looking for. When it comes to social, I always say try it out. The beautiful thing about social is you can create really customizable campaigns. I do a little bit of Instagram stuff in my own personal life that I promote now and again. And I always run little budgets, but I have an idea in my head of what I'm hoping to achieve with that week-long campaign. And if it doesn't work, I don't do it again. But I think social media is a really easy way to test small budget and have incremental return. Whereas on Yelp, you are setting up an ad strategy. So you're really selecting, what am I appearing for? Am I driving them to phone calls? Am I driving them to online schedules? You're customizing that catcher for an consumer to get in touch with you. All right, let me see here. One of our stores, Yelp is not heavily used, one location, not the rest. Yeah, Nathan has a question here about like what's appropriate to ask for reviews. Honestly, I would just let your customers know that you're paying attention to Yelp and whatever other platforms, but I wouldn't ask for reviews even if one of your locations has far less than the other ones. Again, you don't want to ask for reviews in any capacity. Again, for everyone who keeps asking, we've got a ton of questions about recording. You are all going to get a link to the recording. You are all going to get a link to the slides, okay? All right, let's see. Third party. Juan has a good question about what third party app does Yelp work for reviews. So we do have platform partners that are approved partners that aggregate your reviews for you from multiple sites. You can go to yelp.com/ad partners and you'll see all of our verified partners. Okay. I have a question here specifically about a sales rep that someone dealt with. Angie, if you can email me, I'll be able to help you with that there. It looks like a really long paragraph, and I just want to respect everyone else's time. This looks pretty specific to you. So shoot me an email and I can get that situation taken care of for you. All right, let me get over to the chat since I've been behind on this with the Q&A. All right, how do we know which categories? I answered that. Will this be sent? Answered that. Question about photos with people versus without. Again, I really think it's important that your page has images with people. Bar none, that's mandatory. A mix is good, but again, the real use case of these images is to show a full breadth of the business. So people, services, location, and then using those captions to make those photos work even more for you. All right. Michael asks about a way to add categories that aren't currently listed on Yelp. So one, Michael, I want to indicate that this new service offerings element that falls under these categories has addressed a lot of niche categories. So I really encourage you to log in and take a look. But if you have a category recommendation that isn't in a service or category, and I'll put the category list in the email tomorrow, you can shoot me an email. I can submit it to our recommendation category list. We update categories quarterly. So it's an ongoing process. There's a list that our engineering team works off of, and I'd be happy to recommend a category for you there. All right. Keith has a question about starting up a new business and claiming a Yelp profile. How can he pause the profile so he doesn't have customers calling until he's ready to launch? So Keith, you can indicate what day your business is opening. When you're adding a business to Yelp, you can mark if it's already opened or opening in the future. And if the page is already live, when you claim it, you can mark it as temporarily closed and set your open date. Okay, let's see. Nathan has a really good question here. So there's a Mexican tacos category, but no Mexican burritos category. In San Francisco, burritos are huge. I was there for 5 years, Nathan. I miss San Francisco burritos so much. The best advice I can give you is the category really isn't going to be the biggest functionality, but having that keyword everywhere you can on the page is. So you'll notice your reviews already mention them in a multitude. So you are appearing in searches for that now, but you can incorporate more of those in photo captions as well as when you're responding to those reviews. So anytime you can use the word burrito, it'll help your visibility as well. All right, let's see. I find out a new feature called. Jessica has a question here about highlights as an ad function. Business highlights are a paid product. And then she also asks about Yelp Connect. So we talked about Yelp Connect on the call. That's that really cool feature that's like a social media post. Not only does it get displayed on your Yelp page, it gets pushed out to all your pre-vetted followers. And then you also get metrics back in your inbox weekly about how each post performed and how you're doing. All right, let's see. A competitor has a verified license when they're not legally licensed. Carl, if you email me, I'll submit it to flags and spams for you. Angelica asks, is there a Yelp Spanish version? Great question, Angelica. Yes, in many ways. One, when you're on yelp.com, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can translate our entire site when you're searching for businesses into up to 20 some languages. When you're in your business owner's account, you can translate your business owner's account to up to about 10 languages, I believe. It's not fully all the way through, but the Spanish functionality is, we did a huge overhaul of that for Latinx Heritage Month. And then also, we have a full set of blog posts about free and paid tools for business owners that were fully translated in Spanish. So if you go onto the Yelp blog, you'll see that as a resource. I can also send it to you directly if you shoot me an email. All right. Recommended to do not make ads on Yelp at all. Angie, if you're having issues with your return on your ad campaigns, I would highly recommend calling the number in the upper right-hand corner of your account. That'll take you directly to your sales specialists, and you can see if maybe there's some modification to your program that you need to make. You should be able to see different categories that you are trying to appear in, what the opportunity on that is, as well as what categories within there you want to be promoted for. So modifying that program and looking at what has or hasn't been working with a rep might be extremely helpful for you. If any of you don't have existing programs and you want to just ask questions of someone, we have a standard number that you can call Monday through Friday. If you just Google contact Yelp, you'll see a blog post written by me. It's got all the ways you can contact them, but we have a number available Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, we have just a few minutes here. Let's see what else I can get to. Unable to change address. I work from home. Gary, if you email me, I can help you with that. Angie, I've seen your post a few times now. I'm happy to follow up with John Kinsey's management and get this issue resolved. Just email me so I don't forget, because this is all, the Q&A is going to shut down when I end the episode, so I won't be able to see it again. So just shoot me a note and I'll get you connected with someone today. Ads on Yelp, right sales. Elizabeth has a question about reviews from someone who wasn't a customer. One of your options for flagging your review is this is not a firsthand consumer experience. You'll be able to put information in a comment section. Really important to provide whatever context or information you can. Our flags and spams team evaluates reviews in 1 to 3 days. They'll respond to you directly, but they'll use that content to make any decisions that they can. All right. Remove old images. If it wasn't an image that you added, Sam, you can actually flag the image, and our reviews and flags team will take a look at it. Put any comments in there when you flag it as well. For example, if it's an image of your business before a remodel, let us know that, and then we'll be able to take a look there. All right. Irani, you can see in your business owner's account what the estimated budgets are, as well as average cost per clicks within your account. All right. Chanel asks about letting us know how she wants to be communicated with. So Chanel, if you shoot me an email, I can remove you from the call list. That goes for anyone as well. If you ask to be on the do not call list, we will honor that and put you on there. And then your email notifications can be modified in your business account under account settings. We have about 10 or 11 different email category types that you can select you do or don't want. Reviews, for example, or getting business messages, different things like that, as well as information about ad product or from sales representatives. So you could turn that on or off. All right, links to the review. I see another comment in here about another specific concern with an ad product conversation. So if anyone on this call has had that experience, shoot me an email. I'll be able to not only escalate it internally with our QA team, which we take very seriously, but we'll also be able to connect with customer success to see if we need to do some things on your account to get to wherever you're wanting to be. All right. George, when you're logging into Yelp and it's taking you to your personal page, it's because you're not on the business portal. So go to business.yelp.com. You'll get a fresh login button there. All right, I am at the top of the hour. So anyone who needs to hop off, just know that it's the top of the hour now. I'm gonna take about another minute here just to see if I can scan for any new unique questions that I didn't answer. Brent says Yelp Connect is $180 a month. So Brent, Yelp Connect is now an incorporated product. So if you're in a current program, call your customer success team and talk about if it's included or not based on what you currently have. It is an a la carte item as well, but it has recently become an incorporated and included product for paying advertisers. All right. Roy wonders about the price of clicks changing during the month. So Roy, cost per click, whether it's on our site or any other site, is going to be based on supply and demand. So how many searches are not only going on in that area for businesses, but also how many other businesses are looking to advertise or pay for that spot. So that's what's impacting your cost per click, whether it's on Yelp or on other platforms. On Yelp in particular, you can cap your cost per click. So you're able to modify some of those details. Angelica, your question about Yelp in Spanish for users, if you go to yelp.com or if you're on your Yelp app, you can change the language to Spanish so that when you search for businesses, you see all the reviews in Spanish, you see the business information in Spanish. You just have to modify your settings either on your Yelp app or when you go to yelp.com. At the bottom of the page, you'll see options for language. All right, I think I got everyone's questions here. If I missed a question of yours, feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to answer it offline. And again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to better your business. If you have questions for myself, reach out via email. If you have questions about our paid products or your existing program, call that certified number in your account or our regular 877 number Monday through Friday. Thanks, you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day.